Tan France is a YouTuber now. Queer Eye ended earlier this year after almost a decade on Netflix. We talk about what life afterward has been like and what's next for him. Spoiler, that includes producing a new show on YouTube called Honorable Gaze. But that doesn't mean he's abandoning traditional entertainment either. He's back for the second season of Hulu's crime series Deli Boys as a South London gang leader, a very different vibe than Queer Eye. We get Tan's take on how entertainment is shifting, how difficult it's becoming to reach your followers on social media, and what makes someone good at scripted versus unscripted TV. Plus, we talk about why his signature French tuck styling trick will always be a classic and so much more. It's such a fun and insightful conversation, and we're excited to jump right in.
Hi, Tan. Welcome to Scalable.
We have both been such huge fans of the Queer Eye franchise forever, so we so appreciate you being here. I watched it even before it was on Netflix in the Bravo days, so I'm an OG.
Whoa, weren't you like 3? Why were you?
No, literally, I was like really young. No, I'm in my 30s, but I was young.
Wow. They didn't have Peppa Pig back in the day. I've never seen the original version, but I can't imagine the content was right for a child.
I don't think so either. I have to talk to my parents about that.
Well, you learned how to dress up a room and style yourself, so that's something.
I did, and I loved Carson. Carson was my favorite.
So again, I've never seen the show, but I've seen everything he's done since. He's so funny. Like, he's hilarious.
So funny.
Yeah, very talented man.
What has life been like post Queer Eye? I mean, this was almost a decade.
Yeah. So all in all, it was 9 years, which doesn't sound like a long time, I guess, to most people. But my gosh, so much happened in that 9 years. Life changed so much in those 9 years. Queer Eye was a phenomenon. Like, it was, when it hit, it was the first unscripted show Netflix had ever done. And so it hit really hard. And because it was their first unscripted show, they really wanted it to hit globally. And so they pushed it globally. There was a massive press tour. We did international press. It was a lot, and it was incredible. And that was my first time on television in entertainment. I'd never auditioned for it. I'd interviewed for regular jobs, but I'd never auditioned for anything. That was ludicrous to me. And so it was baptism by fire for me. The others had all done TV before in some form or another. I wasn't an entertainer. I was just a businessman. I got onto this show and it became just this monster hit and kind of took on a life of its own. It just kept churning and churning and churning. And then it all stops and it ended. And then you start to think, okay, what is next? How do you top this? And I realized towards the end, I don't have to top this. This is what people work towards their entire careers, is to have a show that is a history-making show. It won more Emmys than any other unscripted show in history. We did it. Where do you go from there? And I will say that the nice thing I feel about myself is that I'm constantly optimistic, and I always believe that things will work out, and I will make moves to make those work out. And so it's not being a what do I do next, is what do I want to do next? Not what should I do, what do I have to do? What actually is going to make me happy? Because I'm just going to say this very tacky thing, but Queer Eye took care of me. Like, being successful within those 9 years, you get a lot of opportunity. And so financial freedom is a real luxury. And then when you get out of the show, you did then get to make a choice. What do I actually want to do? Not what am I being forced to do to stay afloat? And so the transition for me is, how do I make it clear that I'm not just French Tuck Tan France, even though I'm so proud of French Tuck Tan France and I can't believe what he did. And so the question is, how do I move forward in a way that makes it clear I'm more than just the clothes?
Now, of course, it's a very different media landscape. It is linear TV, but even more than that, I mean, it's YouTube, it's podcasts. We have one, it's newsletters, and all the lines are blurring. And you've lived through this evolution as well. I mean, going from traditional or streaming to now YouTube. So tell us a little bit about your new show, Honorable Gaze. We got to watch the first episode yesterday, and it was so fun.
I feel so bad for the tall bridesmaid. If you haven't watched the show, you have to go see what I'm talking about. And I loved the graphics with the giraffe. That was very cute.
Oh my God.
And I love that it was in a theme. It was great because it really pulled you in, and it was so interesting to see all the different experiences that people had.
Also, I love Rob Anderson. He's so funny. His videos about the 90s and his brilliant breakdowns of movies and TV have found me in the real algorithm.
The spookiest Christmas tale is The Family Stone.
So I was very happy to see him on the show with you.
So to be fair, the algorithm found him for me too, and I was so grateful for it. Okay, so let me talk about what Honorable Gaze is. So post Queer Eye, I was wanting to do something as an ensemble again. I love working as an ensemble. I know that many just want to be the star. For me, I'm like, if I'm doing something entertaining, the camera will find me. If you're doing something entertaining, the camera will find you. But I really work well with others, in my opinion. And so I wanted to create a YouTube series that's like a panel show that we have in England. England has panel shows. They're really successful. Anyway, so I wanted to do my take for YouTube, and I wanted to bring on a couple of people who have never done this kind of format or TV before and see how that works. And I found Rob Anderson and Eric Cedeno. Both of them are content creators. They're both comics and wildly entertaining. And I don't know if you used Reddit much. I didn't use Reddit much at all until about a year ago. And then the only Reddit I care about is something called Am I the Arsehole? And so I decided to take that, turn it into a show, kind of like a Judge Judy, but with 3 gays. And we're not taking real legal cases, we're just taking opinion-based cases. And so, for example, if there's you as a bridesmaid and then you have an issue with a bride, you ask the internet, you ask Reddit, am I the arsehole or is the other person the arsehole? So you tell them the story. And I just thought if we take that, animate it, and make it into a comedy, this could be wildly entertaining. I think we've created what is a fantastic, highly entertaining show. I am my own harshest critic. I need you to know if I've done something that's shit, I will tell you. And there were many episodes on Queer Eye, I'm like, I wasn't my best on that episode. I don't think I was that good on that episode. There were certain episodes I'm like, I nailed that episode. But with Honorable Gaze, I've been so involved in every moment, every second of every episode. And I'm so damn proud of it. Like even down to the music and the branding, like the fonts, every part of it.
One of the things that struck us was the animation. I mean, that was incredible. Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't know what or if any animations you watch, but I really, on a night, I watch a couple of things in particular. I watch, well, we flip-flop between Golden Girls. That shouldn't be surprising considering my wallpaper. So Golden Girls, 30 Rock, and then animated shows like Bob's Burgers, Family Guy, sometimes The Simpsons. Love those shows. And they there's ways of communicating things through animation that makes things something so funny that wouldn't ordinarily be that funny. And so when we were planning out the production of the show, I was like, we need to find an animator who can just really help bring these stories to life. And so this guy called Ryan Hudson we found, and I think the animations are like chef's kiss good. I think the show is good without it. But the animation makes it even more ludicrous. When you mentioned the bridesmaid as the giraffe, like I couldn't have articulated that. I couldn't have brought that to life through words. You need the visual. I think it's so good.
How about the bride who made the bridesmaid wear a wig? That one stood out to me because honestly, like on the one hand, I get it. You want your pictures to look nice. They are important. But at the same time, like, feels so cruel.
Does.
What have you found to be some of the biggest differences between working on a streaming TV show and now on YouTube? I mean, some of the things that we've heard from creators who've made the transition from social media to TV is that the days are longer. There's so many more people on set. There's a lot less flexibility. What have you sort of found to be the biggest differences?
Gosh, there's so much I could say on this topic. Of the obvious ones, and you've mentioned a couple of them, being on a set is magical, very different from doing filming content. Like there are some content creators who do have crews, like big crews of people, but most TV shows have a massive crew. Like it is an intense process. The days are shockingly long sometimes. On a show that I did called Next in Fashion, our days were sometimes 15, 16-hour days. You'd wrap at 9 or 10, you're back in that makeup chair at 4:35 a.m. Like it's really intense. But one of the greatest experiences of my life, and almost every project I've ever done on TV, even though those days are so long, I can't believe I get to do that for a living. It's absolute dream. Content creation is a different beast. It's not as regimented, and so you have a lot more flexibility on when you do it, how you do it, and especially if you are funding your own content, which I have done, it means you get to decide how things go, but um, you don't have the beast behind you to push it out there. For example, as I said with the likes of Queer Eye and Next in Fashion, there was a machine behind us that pushed it out to make it clear the world will see this, whether you like it or not. You know it exists. Whereas with social media content or YouTube content, you're just putting stuff out there into the ether and just hoping it finds its audience, that it gains traction. And with let's say, for example, with any show on Netflix or any show on any streamer, I now have a few projects all over with other streamers, and I know the importance of those first 48 hours and then that first week and then the first 6 weeks, what that data means. Whereas with YouTube, you might not see decent figures for a month, 6 months, a year. There's some content that I made 5 or 6 years ago that's just starting to gain traction. Social media is changing so much, and that's where so many of us market what we're doing. If you're making social content, most of us who are making social content are using social media to market those projects. We're not going on Kimmel or Fallon to promote it like you would a linear streamer show or a TV show. Instagram has changed so much. I'm an Instagram girly. I'm not too much into TikTok or Facebook or whatever. Instagram is my platform. It's changed so much that barely anyone sees my post, and I see barely anyone else's post. I saw it happen a couple of days ago where I was like, shit, my engagement on Honorable Gaze is so low. When I was posting it, I thought, what's going on? Why is no one seeing this? And then I clicked on just a few random friends' posts, sorry, on their Instagram profiles, was like, shit, I forgot you even still had an Instagram. For example, Eva Chen, who works at Instagram, is a good friend of mine. And I just thought, I've not seen your post in almost a year. I totally forgot that you were on Insta. And so it's done something where that marketing tool is no longer at your disposal, which is a scary place to be, where you're putting out social content on YouTube, and therefore you no longer have the safety net of, at least my almost 4 million followers will see it. They won't. Maybe 2 or 3,000 will see it, but that's it.
I saw your Instagram story about this because you were announcing Honorable Gaze and you were saying, I don't know why no one's seeing this. So how do you operate in an environment like this? I think a big reason is because of the rise of TikTok, and that has had ramifications on YouTube and Instagram as well, where so much of what we're seeing is being served to us. And in some cases, that's good, right? Like, we both found Rob, right? Maybe we wouldn't have found Rob otherwise, but it makes it harder for you to reach kind of your audience who has chosen to follow you. So how do you operate in this new environment?
Kaya, that's a good question. I wish you had the answer, because as you said, you saw my post about it. I mentioned it yesterday and again today. And my question was a serious question to the audience. Are you seeing this? And is this happening to you? Is it just me? Did I fall off? And I think that it's happening to many people. And a few people had even commented saying, oh my gosh, it's the first time I've seen one of your posts in months. I didn't know you were still on here. I don't know what the answer is, but I will say that it feels strange to say, oh, I've got this many followers. I don't. I've got as many followers as Instagram decides I've got that day. I don't have almost 4 million followers. I've probably got an average of 20,000 followers. That's it, because follower count doesn't seem to matter anymore, because you're not communicating with those people. It's a very strange shift. I'm sure that that's how people felt who were on linear TV when we turned up and came on the scene. Like, gosh, these guys have been exposed to the entire planet where we only get America. At every shift, you think, gosh, how is it that changed so quickly? And how do I get onto this next carriage? I don't know. Also, I'm in my 40s. I'm not as with it as I would have been 20 years ago. I don't know how to move with those tides.
I think you're spot on. I mean, I think there's always been a lot of change in the entertainment landscape. I think what's happening now, though, is it's moving so quickly. Like, it is not just you who's having trouble keeping up with it. I mean, we hear this all the time from creators. I mean, they don't have the answer either. I think some of the strategies that we're seeing are that they are, some of the big ones that can do this are striking deals with Netflix to have a show there and reach different audiences. We're also seeing some more creators lean into live in-person events to build their community that way, because they know they're having trouble reaching their core followers and fans on social media. But you haven't totally abandoned traditional entertainment either. I mean, you're returning to Hulu. Tell us about that too.
Well, I do want to make it very clear. I hope to never leave traditional entertainment because I love it so much. And I do like that people in entertainment are doing both. As you said, content creators are trying to get on Netflix, and that I think does help, or any streamer does help legitimize their credentials or their status within Hollywood or entertainment. But when it comes to on-screen or traditional media, I want to do as much as I can in that space. Hulu, the show that I'm on Hulu is a show called Deli Boys. I did one episode on season 1, and I was so excited to do it because it was something that was so different for me. I play a I play a killer. I play a very violent straight man, which, if you know me at all from Queer Eye, that's not quite the brand I've pushed out there for the last 9 years.
Why? Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me start with this. Queer Eye, I would like to believe I was just sunshine. And that is my resting state. I'm smiley, I'm giggly, I'm not very serious of a person. But the reason why I wanted to play Zubair on Deli Boys was because I got to challenge myself in a way that I haven't been able to challenge myself in a really long time. With unscripted at this point, I've done it for 9 years. But unscripted is hard when you start out, but when you learn how it goes, and if you are, I think, good at it, and I know that's such an arrogant comment, but I think I'm good at it. It's one of my very few skill sets is I know how to be an entertainer in unscripted. You can turn on the cameras and I will perform for you. That just got so easy. And I thought, what else can I do in entertainment that really pushes me every day? I miss the challenge. And so I auditioned for Deli Boys. I did a self-tape. I did an in-person audition, which was terrifying. But I got the job, and I'm so glad it went well because that week I had some of the best experiences of my adult life. I got to push myself. I got to experience what a scripted set feels like, which is very different from an unscripted set. And it's encouraged me to do more. I shot a small role in a movie last month. I'm shooting a movie next month. So I want to do a lot more scripted because it puts me in a space that is unexpected for the audience. And I'm really hoping that they will accept me as the characters I play. I know it's hard to not see me as giggly Tan France. But I would like to believe I've worked hard enough for people to forget after a few moments that it's me.
What makes someone good at unscripted versus scripted?
I think for unscripted, you've got to, this is going to sound, but it's true. You've got to be willing to be really vulnerable to do unscripted. You've got to be willing to go there, even if you didn't plan to go there. I remember when I first joined Queer Eye, I was very particular about what I was willing to share and what I wasn't willing to share. That fell by the wayside after about 2 weeks because when we call them our heroes, they're the people who we highlight every episode. When they are opening up to you, you would be doing them a disservice if you didn't give them something back, or to help them come out of their shell. You will offer them some personal information about yourself or a story that they could relate to that makes it clear, you can trust me, I understand you, and I'm not going to just sit here and listen. And so I think the art of a good unscripted person is someone who can listen, like shut up and listen, and then be able to respond to everything that person's saying. And then for scripted, the massive difference is you get to hide behind a character. It is so hard. My gosh, it's so hard. Even just learning lines in my 40s is so hard. But you do have the luxury of it not being you. You're not exposing yourself. Nobody really knows anything about you. And the way I know this to be true is a lot of my friends are scripted people, scripted stars. And when we're out at a restaurant, it's very clear the audience is so much more comfortable coming to say hi to me because they know me. They know my personality. This person, they've only seen the character that they play, and it might be a horrible character, it might be a great character, but they don't know what that person's actually like. I do believe that that scripted does offer a layer of protection that unscripted doesn't. But I don't think that unscripted gets the respect that it deserves. I really don't, because it's a hard job. I think that people just think you turn the camera on and then you're fine. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with podcasting or even just interviewing in general. I mean, people think that you can just turn on a microphone and have, make a full podcast or, get on stage and have a great interview without the prep work. I mean, that doesn't get the kind of respect that that it deserves. But I think something you said there really stood out to me, because one of the things that we've been following for a long time is kind of the parasocial relationship between creators and their audiences. And a lot of times, social media users feel like they actually know
Yeah.
the creators whose content they've been consuming. And I think that really speaks to your point about, you're out there making unscripted content and people feel like they know you. Whereas, with a scripted character, again, like you said, you're hiding behind somebody who isn't
Yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
you.
I think that it then gives the audience, and um, I don't judge them for it. It gives them permission to treat you as if you're their friend, like their real life friend. And I see the confusion a lot in real life, or I used to in particular a few years ago, where I'd be walking down the street in New York, I'd turn a corner and somebody would see me and go, "Oh my God, Tan, good to see you." A hug. And then somebody taught me this trick a long time ago, which is, "Hi, I'm Tan, what's your name?" And as soon as you say that, like, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I forgot we don't know each other." I'm like, "Yeah, we don't, but that's okay. It's nice to meet you." They forget that you're not truly their close friend for a heartbeat. That can cause some, quite honestly, sometimes some weirdness with boundaries.
To go back a little bit to the show, is there certain things you've taken from streaming and traditional to now YouTube? I mean, obviously it's very different. One thing that kind of struck me is you guys are, behind pretty normal backdrops, but then you have the graphics, which make it more interesting. So it's produced, but I think there is something about, and this is something Jasmine and I talk about all the time. Like we, tape this from our homes, but now, production on social media is getting pretty high quality. Like these podcast sets look,
Like,
yeah,
do
we're
we
like,
need
do
a
we need a
no.
set? Do we need, like, I'm using my MacBook, camera
Yeah.
and a light that I bought on
Yeah,
TikTok
same.
for $5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it kind of works. But are there certain things you're taking from streaming into this? And like, what's the right balance for YouTube?
I won't profess to know the answer to that. I will give my opinion on that. The balance for me is this. When I first wanted to launch this YouTube series, I made it really clear. First off, quite frankly, I couldn't afford to make a TV show version. A TV show version would have cost a few $100,000 an episode. Wasn't going to happen. And so I wanted to do this on YouTube. And so I made it clear I don't want it to feel like a traditional YouTube news series where it's just the production quality is not usually there whatsoever. There's no real format. It's a lot more loosey goosey. I didn't want that. I wanted to take what I learned from streamers. So to answer your question, a lot of almost every show you see has some kind of format, some kind of planned production. There's some kind of running theme, and so you kind of know what to expect episode to episode. You have an episode arc typically. I wanted to target my age group, who's also on YouTube. When I use YouTube, I'm typically sat on my sofa or in a hotel sofa, or on a hotel sofa, sorry, with my food or my takeout order or my room service. I put on YouTube and I want at least 10 to 15 minutes so I can eat that meal and not have to grab my remote or phone or change the channel. I wanted to produce a almost TV show format on a YouTube style budget that was 50 minutes long, where you can have a meal, you can just hang out with a friend and watch enough where you don't have to constantly every 3 minutes click on something different. And when it came to production, what sound is involved, what music rights do we have, how are we editing this so it feels like a hybrid of YouTube and traditional media? Because I'm not a YouTuber, I wasn't a YouTuber. I don't want it to feel just like a YouTube show. I want it to feel like a hybrid so that everyone feels like it makes sense for them.
Out of curiosity, what is a YouTube like budget to you? I mean, we've spoken to other creators and some of them are spending, up to $5,000 a minute on shows. Others are spending $500 a minute. Where do you land?
Well, it depends on the program, the format. For me, I won't give you the exact amount, but for me, thank
Had
you.
to try.
But for me, it's definitely not a low budget. It's that I wanted it to feel like premium YouTube content. So it's a few $1,000s an episode, because animation costs a fortune. I could have taken the animation out and it would have been a couple of $1,000s an episode, no big deal. But I wanted it to feel premium, and that costs a lot. Animation costs a fortune. And just so you know, our limit is like 90 seconds per 15-minute episode of animation, and still that's a fortune. So yeah, the budgets are high for YouTube, but It depends on what kind of content you want. I will also say that I felt pressure to do nice content because of who I am. If I wasn't already known, if I wasn't already an entertainer, I probably would have thought I'll gingerly enter YouTube. I'll spend a couple of $100 an episode and we'll build to something bigger. But I have a reputation to protect also, and I didn't want people thinking you put out a new series and it's garbage. Get out of here.
So you're funding the show yourself through your production company, French Tuck Media. But tell us a little bit more about how your revenue breaks down and how you're thinking about monetizing the show.
So monetizing the show happens in two ways. AdSense, which is money that you get per click or per view. But really, it's sponsorship. We don't have sponsorship yet. Once the show finds its audience, hopefully you'll get a sponsor who can at least cover some of the production, if not all of the production of your series. And therefore, hopefully you can do multiple seasons. And so that's the goal for me, is when it comes to monetizing it, it's monetizing it so I can do more series. For me, all I'm hoping is that the sponsorship pays for an additional season and then even more seasons, because I love doing this show. But I've never really thought of this being my income. Maybe that's silly and maybe that's naive, but that's not the way I see it. My traditional media is my paid job.
We'd love to do a little rapid fire with you if you're game
Go.
for that. Tan, what is the best career advice that you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. It was from my dad. He passed away when I was 13, but it's the one thing I really remember, which is he used to say it to my older siblings: do everything, learn everything. We were the children of immigrants, and my dad used to work at random jobs before he then started his own business. And that's exactly what I did when I started my own company. I worked for many businesses so that I could then do it on my own and not have to worry about paying staff for the first couple of years.
You're a YouTuber now. So what is something that social media creators can do that TV never allowed you to do?
Be completely myself. If you've ever seen anything I've done on Netflix in particular, you'll see I'm edited a lot, and most people assumed, especially before I started doing YouTube stuff, that I was a prissy princess who doesn't swear and is always polite. Which I've got the most foul language on the internet. It's disgusting, and it lets me be free, and I really appreciate being myself.
What's your favorite Reddit dilemma?
When two parents end up dating and the kids end up dating, what do you do? Who has the right to stay together? They independently found each other. What happens in that situation?
3 staples you need to have in your closet.
A great pair of jeans, a great white button-up shirt, because you can dress it up, dress it down in many, many ways, and the perfect black shoe, be it whatever you want, whether it's a heel, a flat, a boot, or whatever. But just with that, you can create many different looks with adding just one other thing, and it turns it into a new thing.
Biggest fashion faux pas?
Crocs. It's just not for me.
French Tuck, is it still in?
Will always be in. It's a classic.
I know you're a big foodie cooking fan too. So what is your favorite comfort meal?
This is going to make no sense to you if you don't eat Indian food, but dal and rice, or dal and roti. It's in English, you would call it a lentil soup. Gorgeous.
What is your least favorite food?
Watermelon. I think the taste of any kind of melon, it turns my stomach. The smell is disgusting and the taste is vile. I don't care how sweet it is. I literally vomit if I can feel it in my senses.
What is always in your fridge?
Milk. I know that's so silly, but whole milk, because I have it in my coffee, I have it in my cereal. I still eat as if I'm 13 years old. So
What is one cooking tip everyone should know?
if you're gonna use onions in something, cook them properly, brown them to death. The browner they are, even though you think they're burnt, they're gonna create great flavor.
Thank you, Tan, so much. This was such a joy and equally entertaining and insightful. So thank you.
Thanks so much. It was lovely to meet you both. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We so appreciate you being on.